Hi everybody, it's Talk to Me Tuesday, and it is actually Tuesday, yay! I've already filmed this once, so if I waffle, please forgive me. I filmed it and it turned into a 15-minute video, and I thought, nobody got time for that, so I've cut it short. What have we been doing this week? I've done a few things that that I've made, which is quite good. So first of all is this doll. She's called Lulu. Lulu the shelf. Because she's made to sit on a shelf. She has no stuffing in her legs. There's supposed to be stuffing in her legs, but I didn't read the pattern properly and I sealed up her leg before I put the stuffing in. But she's always meant to sit on a shelf. But she has cool funky boots and a nice little jacket, cool funky scarf, and I sewed a button on a hat. She was supposed to have these kind of flower bobble things on the hat, but they just looked like a faff, so I didn't do them because I'd had enough by then. I don't love the pattern. I think her face has an odd shape, so she has quite an egg head. Not an egg head, like a rectangle head. She's not as, I don't love her as much as I love my other dolls, but she is who she is. She's her own person. She has like a glittery dress, which I love the wool of, and I love this jacket colour. I actually have a hat colour. Sorry, I actually have a plan for this colour to do something later on with it that's quite fandom related. So she sits up on my shelf, which has been raided. Hannah has since last week taken Audrey Hepburn and Rainbow Bright, but it was her birthday on Sunday, so I couldn't really say to her, no, you can't have that. A friend of mine also asked me to make a baby blanket for her last year, which I made for her niece, her second niece, who's due in May this year. She wanted a grey and white star blanket, and then once I made that, she had it for Christmas. She wanted a smaller version made because her other niece, who will be sister of the new baby, they want to sort of make a fuss of her, so they want her to have a matching blanket for her baby dolls. So I did a small star blanket. This is in chunky wool, so it's a bit thicker than my DK one, but it's just a white and silver blanket, but I love it. It's a really, the amber blanket is a really easy pattern to do, for me anyway. But I don't like to go too big because I don't do them amber size the way Amber does them, because she does really big ones, because I get bored. So that's going to her today, and then she also wanted an ear warmer for her mum, because her mum works outside in a school playground. She works in a school and she has to go outside with the kids a lot, and it's really cold here at the moment, so she wanted a headband that covers the ears. So that's what I made. It's just a simple cable. I think it's called a cable stitch. Anyway, didn't take long, so I made her one of those. And the only other thing I wanted to say is that I have had an epiphany from watching all of your videos, where you were talking about projects you hadn't finished and things like that. And as you all know, I want to raise some funds for special educational needs in my area, in my school particularly. And it suddenly occurred to me that I had quilt tops that I had made previously that were just stuck in a box. I love patchwork, but I don't necessarily love quilting. I don't have the machine to do it. I only have my home machines, although I have got an embroidery machine now which I could use to do a bit of patchworking on. I don't love having to spend a lot of money on backings and interfacings and wadding, not interfacings but waddings and battings. I tend to use fleece blankets because you can pick those up quite cheap, and I like the fact that they stay quite firm. I know a lot of people like the puffiness that they get from quilting, but I quite like the, just having a blanket. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I dug through my piles of UFOs and I found some quilts that I was like, oh, these won't take too long to do. I have to pick my times right because I only have a certain budget a month for spending on money on quilt supplies or crafting supplies, and I don't want to spend too much on it, so I'm going to have to buy a bolt of fabric that's just all one colour that will cover all of these to make the binding and the backing. But I think if I go for a light grey, I should be okay. I've got various things to show you. One is like just this little superhero patchwork top that I can make into a pillow. I've got a little blanket that is just a, I don't even know what that's called, that pattern, but it's just ready to have a bit of background fabric on it and then it'll be done. I've got a star that I made that I think I actually want to keep, and I want to put here on this wall because it's all Tula. I forget the line of the fabric, but it's that kind of the line that had the ladies with the skull faces. Della Morta, is it called? I don't know. Della Luna, I think. But anyway, I made that and I really want to get that quilted up on my wall. I have a Doctor Who quilt, which I'm debating whether or not to quilt this up for the raffle. I'm thinking I might get some interest from like fandom groups if I put a raffle up on my Facebook page to say that I'm raffling this off. I might get some interest for people that want a Doctor Who quilt on some fandom sites. I don't know yet. That one's a maybe. I have this hexagonal, it's like a big hexy, and it's all Tula pink. I think there's another fabric line in here as well. It's not just Tula, that's Tula and that's Tula, but I think this is another fabric line. But for the life of me, I can't remember what it was called. But I have that ready to go. That's quite a big one. That's like 170 centimetres. And then I won't unfold this one, but this one's all kind of pretty vintage, flowered quilts. And I think this one is Disappearing 9 patch. Yes, it's Disappearing 9 patch. So that one's ready to go. And then this one, I believe, was fabric that Susie sent me years ago. Some jelly rolls. I think it was Susie. It was definitely somebody on Talk To Me Tuesday, but I'm sure it was Susie. But if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. And again, it's this block where you sew your strips together, and then it's how you cut them and sew them back together. Where you get some strips going this way and some strips going this way. And I have this kind of kind of retro 1970s kind of colours, I suppose. 1970s? Something like that. But anyway, it's a really pretty quilt, and I actually have leftover strips which I tucked into it, so I must have been thinking that it would make a good binding. Don't love binding at all. I've got a little leftover strip set of, again, Tula pink fabric. You can see the eyes from the, I think it's a badger or the beaver. But anyway, so that could be made into a little table topper. This is one of the first things I ever made. It's just strip sets twisted. So like I said, it was like the second thing I made. It's not that big, but it'd make a nice table topper. And it's even quilted to a certain extent. It has straight line quilting. This is what I mean by fleece blankets. So this is actually a fleece blanket inside of here. And I just find that when something is sitting on a tabletop, the fleece blanket helps. Quilts over here are more decorative. We sleep under puffy quilts, the eiderdown quilts that you put quilt covers on, because it's quite cold here. So people don't tend to sleep underneath the quilts that they make. They're more for sort of sitting on your knees when you're sat downstairs. I'll stop rambling. But anyway, that just needs binding and it's done. So I'm hoping that when I'm feeling a little bit more like getting the sewing machine out, I can get those basic quilted. It won't be anything major. It will be stitch in the ditch quilting, because if I had a long arm machine, I'm sure I'd love it, but I have no room for that. But I don't love the quilting on a home machine when it's too big. So all of these are reasonably sized, so I should be able to quilt them on my home machine. Like I said, maybe using my embroidery machine function, and some sort of quilting pattern on that. Anyway, they should all be quick wins. I should be able to get them done and bound for the end of the summer, which is when I'm thinking about. That'll be when I do the raffle, because by then I'll have lots of things finished without putting too much pressure on myself with doing homeschool and all the other things that you have to do to have a life. I hope everybody is safe and well, and that everybody is remembering to keep themselves safe and to make sure they give themselves lots of self-care, because it's really important that you remember yourself. I think as mums and as wives, we tend to focus on everybody else before ourselves, and we need to remember that we are going through this too, so we need to give ourselves time. Lots of bubble baths, lots of time spent crafting, lots of chatting with friends on Facebook, whatever it takes to get you through the day. And at some point, maybe I'll get a haircut, but who knows? This is a year now, over a year since I had my haircut, because I can't go to a hairdresser. So anyway, I'll upload this. Everybody have a fantastically crafty week. Keep safe. Love you all. I've so much enjoyed coming back to this community. I can't even begin to tell you how much pleasure it's given me in the last few weeks, coming back and filming videos and commenting and talking to people again. So stay safe, stay crafty. I think I've just stole that from somebody else. But anyway, have a good week. I'll see you all next week. Bye.